At times, knowing the right time to walk away from negotiation is actually the hardest part. This, for the most part, has to do with poorly defined BATNA. Now, in this video, we're going to look at 4 steps, okay, that can help you create your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, which is what BATNA is. But before we do that, here's something you need to know. Now look, if you're interested in learning about negotiation, learning about managing contractual risks, okay, managing supply chain risks, things of that nature, things to do with procurement and supply, basically supply chain, simply head over to our website, zeroightnetwork.com. In that place, okay, on that site, you're going to have access to video lessons, PDF downloads, practice exercises, and all that stuff, okay, articles. So check that one out once you are done. In fact, I've also linked all that information in the description, so you can check that out. A negotiator's BATNA is a course of action he or she will pursue if the current negotiation doesn't offer what they are looking for. And that is why it's the best alternative to whatever it is that you're likely to get out of that negotiation, okay? So whatever deal that is likely to come out or not come out of the negotiation, the point is, if you don't have an alternative, okay, if you don't have a walkaway position, in short, if you can't say, nope, I'm not taking that, then you're already at a disadvantage as far as the negotiation is concerned. But then, having said all that, the question then becomes, how do you effectively develop one? How do you effectively develop a BATNA? And the answer to that, okay, just comes down to 4 steps. So in this case, list your alternatives, evaluate them, establish a BATNA, and figure out your reservation value. And since the idea here is learning by doing, okay, you're going to look at all that in practice, right? By the time you're done, you're going to have developed one, okay? You're going to see how you can develop one. So let's assume that you are the procurement manager of a food manufacturing company and you're negotiating a deal for packaging materials. In this case, we're talking about, plastics or even boxes to pack the final product, okay, for your business. The supplier proposes a 15% price increase, which would significantly impact your cost. Now, you might just look at that and then think, I'm just going to tell them to reduce the price, 15 and maybe around 5%. Okay, forget about that. Before you even start bargaining, before you start haggling over the prices, okay, the thing is, do you even have a walkaway position? Do you have a point at which if they insist on, okay, you walk away? What if they insist on the 15%? What are you going to do? Are you just going to say, yeah, well, we need packaging material and therefore we are stuck here? No, before you start even talking about the number that is comfortable, okay, or even your reservation value, the number that you're comfortable with, you need to develop a walkaway position. So in this case, step 1, list your alternatives. And what exactly does listing your alternatives mean in this case? So it means finding a list of other suppliers, and that means getting to use your RFQs, request for quotations, and your request for information. So send out requests for quotation from other suppliers so that they can quote how much they're going to charge for the same packaging material, okay? Or even request for information, like, here's what I need information on these things. Now, the thing you have to understand here is that request for quotation and request for information, these things, they may not necessarily be an offer, although a request for quotation can be treated as an offer at some point. So the supplier is going to make an offer. The offer is how much we are going to sell you these things. So in short, you're developing a list of alternative suppliers. And let's assume your alternatives, okay? Your alternative give you the following. Number 1, so we have supplier A who offers 10% lower price but has a longer lead time, okay? Lead time means that from when you put an order to when you actually receive those particular items, that time, that's the lead time. So anyway, supplier A offers a 10% lower price but has a longer lead time. And supplier B matches the current supplier's price but provides faster delivery. Supplier C offers 15% discount, okay, with an improved payment schedule, that is net 60 instead of net 30. So what you've done there is that you've developed your alternatives, right? So now you have alternative suppliers. You don't know who you're going to work with in that list. You just know that now I have backup. But then step 2, so in this case, evaluate your alternatives, okay? because you just have a list of people you're likely to work with. You don't know who exactly you're going to work with in that group. So you need to go through that list of suppliers and decide, this is the person that I'm going to be working with, okay? So based on what criteria? Based on things like cost, okay, quality, reliability, flexibility. So in this case, anyway, you evaluating them. So supplier A, lower cost but longer lead time, that could actually disrupt your production. Supplier B, no cost saving but faster delivery, improves supply chain efficiency. If you decide to go with supplier C, that means moderate cost saving and better cash flow management. So now you've actually analyzed the alternatives. But then the thing is, there's a reason why you're negotiating with that supplier, the one that you're negotiating with in the first place. So it's not like if you're just going to jump into these alternatives, okay? There's a reason why you're negotiating with that guy. Maybe it has something to do with history. Maybe it has something to do with the relationship, okay? Not just the results. So you still want to continue the negotiation, okay? So get that. Don't just be like, yeah, well, and therefore I'm going with these people. So anyway, let's move on to the third step. So step 3 in this case, establish your BATNA, okay? You establish your walkaway position. You need to choose. Your walkaway position in this case is going to be selecting a supplier that you're likely to work with. So in this case, we have the 5% discount, okay? Reduce cost. The payment terms on at 60, which improves your cash flow, and then the quality and reliability. So in short, what are we saying here? We are simply saying that you are selecting supplier 3 because they're giving you a discount. And they're also giving you flexible payment term. The idea is they are allowing you to take longer to pay them, like instead of 30 days, 60 days. So what does that mean? That means you have 30 extra days to do something with the money before you give it to them. So that's the one that you're going to be working with. So now you have your alternative. That supplier is your walkaway position, meaning the guy, okay, the suppliers that this supplier 1 that you're working with, if they don't give you a better deal, then you're going to go with that particular supplier D. Now, there's something I still need for you to understand here, okay? So you've created an alternative, okay? And you've evaluated the alternatives, and you've in fact decided on one that you're going to settle for. So that becomes your BATNA. But again, as I said, there's a reason why you are in negotiation in the first place. So you just don't walk away. You still want to continue this negotiation. Hopefully, if things go according to plan, you stick there. But if things don't go according to plan, then you go with your alternative. But then the question is, how exactly do you know that things aren't going according to plan? What exactly is your walkaway position? Because a BATNA is just your option, the alternative. But then how exactly do you know that now it's time to execute that alternative plan? So in short, you need to, step 4, you need to calculate your reservation value. That is, your reservation value is the point at which if that deal gets to, then you walk away. Like there is no value there. Okay? It's like when you are talking about a number, prices, and then your reservation value is 5. So if they insist on anything below 5, you walk away. Okay? All that simply points to a zone of potential agreement. Okay? Because that zone of potential agreement is an example of where your reservation value goes. Okay, here's what I mean. Think about it this way. Like the zone at which you can have an agreement. That is the zone of possible, not potential. Okay, well, potential, possible. The zone of possible agreement. Meaning what? Meaning this is the point at which, think of it from a buyer-seller perspective. So there's a price point that the seller is happy with, okay? The seller is saying, this is the lowest I'm willing to accept. And then there is a price point that the buyer is like, this is the highest I'm willing to pay. So the difference between the seller's lower point and the buyer's highest point, that is the ZOPA. That is the zone of possible agreement. So if the supplier is willing to accept, the lowest they're willing to accept is 20. And the highest the buyer is willing to pay is 30. So in this case, if you're the buyer, the highest you're willing to pay is 30. And the lowest the supplier is willing to accept, so the supplier has a range between 20 to like maybe 20 to 30 or something. Then it means your agreement is going to be between the supplier's lowest, okay, the lowest they're willing to accept, so 20, and the highest, because you're willing to pay, which is 30, so between 20 to 30. Because if you twist those numbers, if the highest you're willing to pay is 15, and the lowest the supplier is willing to take is 20, then you see you don't have a deal. So that's how you end up with the reservation point. Basically, the point at which you simply walk away because things aren't working out. So now you know that is going to be the point you walk away from that negotiation. So that is basically how you develop your best alternative to the negotiated agreement. So in this case, one, before you walk into any negotiation, so in this case, remember that the problem was the 15% increase in price. So before you go there, you one, have your alternatives, okay? You evaluate the alternatives so that you select one, and that one becomes your BATNA, okay? But then now that you've selected one, you decide, here's my reservation point. Here's the point at which anything that goes below that, I'm walking away. And then now you go for the negotiation, okay? So now you have your walk away position. I mean, look, all this stuff and many more, these things are all on our website, zeroratenetwork.com, so check that out. Also, in addition to that, I've linked tutorials. Okay, so there's a link to my tutorials on commercial negotiation in procurement and supply. So you can check that one out. If you have any question, make sure you ask. So don't sit there with your question. Okay, so now going back to our negotiation, the current supplier's offer is 15%. Remember, 15%, which is too high and not variable. Now, since supplier C provides 15% discount, you can set your reservation value to no more than 5%, okay, price increase. And with that, so you're saying, look, you guys are saying 15. I want 5. So what is likely to happen? When you're negotiating, there are three things that are likely to happen. One, the supplier reduces their price or improves terms, in which case, okay, you stay. Two, the supplier refuses to go with you, in which case, you go with supplier C. And three, you find some other way to compromise, so both of you find some other way to compromise, and you get a deal. So those are the possible outcomes in that negotiation, right? Remember, based on all those things you've just said, alternatives, evaluating the alternatives, developing your BATNA, and finally, your reservation value. So anyway, if you want to learn all this stuff, again, as I said, remember, you can just check out our website, zeroratenetwork.com, every stuff, all this stuff. Okay, many things are there, okay, from PDF downloads to practice exercises to online courses. So check that one out. I've also linked tutorials to commercial negotiation and procurement and supply. You can check that one out too. If you have any question, do let me know. See you in the next video.